A job is just a job. I guess I shouldn't be too idealistic, but said I work 8 hours a day. That's 1/3 of my life. Could I do something that I truly enjoy for my career? I didn't expect to learn about working for fun from the Cathedral and the Bazaar. The author Eric S. Raymond published this book in 1999. The book is based on his observations of the most significant open source project, Linux. The development of Linux is a free project that unites thousands of hackers to contribute code and has ended up being one of the most widely used operating systems. And what I found interesting is that the contributors to the project, hackers, are essentially the ones who have successfully put the concept of working for fun into practice and created immense productivity. By the way, let's make it clear. When we talk about hackers, we are referring to enthusiasts, artists, tinkerers, problem solvers, and experts in computers. We are not talking about computer criminals. There must be something I can learn from these hackers to leverage passion and achieve productive work. Thankfully, the author did not just focus on the technological side of the project. Instead, Eric S. Raymond discussed a lot about the hacker's deep motivation, mindset, and working methodology. Eric S. Raymond said, to become a master, you need to imitate the mindset of masters. What's the mindset of those hackers? The world is full of fascinating problems waiting to be solved. This is the belief of hackers. The motivation for their behavior is to solve problems that they find fascinating. In 1991, Linus Torvalds, a student at the University of Helsinki, was dissatisfied with his computer's operating system. Torvalds preferred the Linux operating system he had used on the university's computers. However, Linux was developed as a teaching tool and couldn't function on personal desktop computers. This led him to embark on the development of his own operating system. After he developed his operating system, he posted a message online. Hello, all friends using Mimics. I'm doing a free operating system. Just a hobby, won't be big and professional. I'd like any feedback on things people dislike in Mimics. This message attracted thousands of people to contribute ideas and codes. Solving the problem is the trigger for the start of the project, and it also served as the uniting motivation for thousands of volunteer hackers to continuously work on the project, up until today. We often associate hackers with people who pursue freedom and are against working in big companies. However, for most hackers, the key is not whether they work in companies. It's more about whether the organization is preventing them from solving the problem that they are interested in. Linus Torvalds himself once worked at a company for 7 years. Alongside his job, he continued to oversee kernel development for Linux. He also received an offer to work on Apple's kernel from Steve Jobs himself. However, according to Mac Rumors, the condition was that he would have to drop Linux development altogether. If he was motivated by money rather than solving the problems that he's interested in, he would have accepted Steve Jobs' offer, and Linux would have been dead. So my first takeaway is that focusing on the problem that interests you and starting by solving it. The second belief I learned from hackers and internalized is that creative minds are a valuable limited resource. Hackers have their own culture. It reminds me of the Hong Kong triad.
Rule for the triad, the main rule is you obey your boss. Of course, you obey your main boss.
But for hackers, instead of respecting their boss and friends, the relationship they build with others are based on the belief that creative minds are a valuable limited resource. Their gift culture, known as hackdom, is a behavior that originates from that belief. Hackers share their solution for certain problems, and for them, it's almost like a moral duty to do this so others can tackle new problems instead of redoing old ones. Linux is an open source operating system that reflects this gift culture. Open source means its source code is openly accessible to the public. Linus was following this approach while the other two main operating systems, Microsoft Windows and Apple's Mac OS, were creating significant financial value for their companies. It's a kind gesture to give away your work. But what benefit could you get from that? I'm not the only one who have this question. Many people are also curious about how much money Linus Torvalds could make. While he was working on Linux, he was employed and sponsored by other large tech companies as a gesture of gratitude for his creation. When the company Red Hat went public, Torvalds' stock value shot up to around $20 million. Additionally, the Linux Foundation sponsors Linus as he continues to work full-time on improving Linux. Allegedly, the foundation pays Torvalds around $1.5 million per year. So, while he may not be on the Forbes list, he did receive financial benefits from his act of giving away his creation. But is that all he gets? Linus Torvalds himself actually have a clear understanding of the answer for this question. He says that, "I'm basically a very lazy person who likes to get credit for things other people actually do." One of the reasons for Linux' success is that it's an open source project, which allows it to incorporate contributions from talented hackers worldwide. He never saw the act of open sourcing and giving away as something to credit himself. For him, it's more about strategy for how things work.
I don't actually like the notion of contributing to the community because that implies a certain amount of altruism that I'm not a huge believer in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
tit for tat.
I really think it's more like you're not contributing to the community. What you're doing is you're trying to make a project better for yourself.
Without doing the whole open source and really letting go thing, Linux would never have been what it is.
Also, for Linus, Torvalds didn't start the project from scratch. Good programmers know what to write. Great ones know what to rewrite. He started by reusing code and ideas from Linus. So, Linux is a project that benefits many people by giving away, and itself also benefits from this gift culture. When the project first started, open source was not even a well-known concept.
I had a friend who was one of the open source. It was called mainly free software back then. And he actually introduced me to the notion that, hey, you can use these open source licenses that had been around, and I thought about it for a while. I was actually worried about the whole commercial interests coming in, and I decided, what the hell?
When you are fully motivated by solving the problems, other distraction would just fade and lead you to make the right choice.
It turned out, and very quickly turned out, that those commercial people were lovely, lovely people, and it actually works really beautifully together.
Make the best of creative minds, leverage the work of others, and also allow others to benefit from your work. One last thing I learned from this hacker is, begin with a small piece of the problem. The title of the book refers to two kinds of development models. One is modern corporates like Cathedrals. Employers there are like cathedral builders who follow rigid principles. Another one is the Bazaar, which is the way Linux development works. It may look messy, but it's also flexible. The benefits of this model are that developers can release their work frequently and receive feedback immediately. In this way, the feedback works as an instant reward and motivates them to continuously work on things that they enjoy. Working in our sweet spot by breaking a problem into small pieces that are neither too easy nor too difficult. Releasing our work frequently and learning from feedback makes it more likely to get instant rewards and continue doing it. I found their way of thinking refreshing. They focus on solving problems that interest them rather than on money, status, etc. They don't really care too much about others taking advantage of their work, but see sharing as a strategy to work smart. Also, do not pursue perfection, but aim to learn from feedback and keep improving. It's a mindset that helps them remove distraction and focus on solving the problem they are interested in. And in most cases, as long as you create something valuable, there is normally a high possibility that you can gain rewards from it. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.